Easy is the path to wisdom for those not blinded by ego. Hello and welcome to WMT Reviews. I am Wise Man Tanofsky, and today we're having a look at Star Wars The Clone Wars, Season 1, Episode 3, Shadow of Malevolence. Seventh chronological episode of the series, Shadow of Malevolence is the immediate follow-up to Rising, and the second part of the Malevolence trilogy. It focuses on Anakin Skywalker and Ahsoka Tano, played by Matt Lanter and Ashley Eckstein, as they lead an operation to attack and disable the Malevolence before it's able to destroy a vulnerable medical outpost. Shadow of Malevolence is a very satisfying follow-up to the Malevolence trilogy, following all the basic rules of a decent sequel, raising the stakes, deepening the conflict, and providing decent character development all round, while also keeping the tone of these stories at a similar level of darkness. The simple fact that the Malevolence is targeting an undefended medical station filled with thousands of wounded clones simply to inflict the highest casualties possible is very telling of the dark nature of the story and the heightened stakes surrounding the mission. The primary character development can be seen in Anakin himself, as he's faced with the unavoidable truth that not everyone under his command can be expected to follow his unnaturally skilled lead, as the attack begins to go south. For the first time since the theatrical release, Anakin and Ahsoka take centre stage for the telling of this tale, leading the desperate attack against the Separatist warship. This is our first in-depth look at how far their characters have come in the short time they've spent together, and it's good to see them play off one another. Master Plo Koon also tags along for the mission, acting as the wizened voice of reason when Anakin's self-confidence begins to get the better of him and put the mission in danger. This is only possible through the continued humanization of the clone characters. Even though we never see the injured aboard the station, the viewer knows who was aboard those escape ships when the Malevolence shoots them down, and this stirs an anger towards the antagonist which keeps them invested in the story. Speaking of which, this episode is of course spearheaded once again by General Grievous. And while the previous installment displayed his military cunning, this episode seems to highlight more his arrogance and his exceptional ability to underestimate his adversaries, in spite of being warned against exactly that by Count Dooku at the beginning of the episode. I rather enjoyed that little exchange. It acts to exemplify Skywalker's increasing reputation above the Separatist armies as a formidable adversary. One must, however, remember that for the sake of continuity, the General and Skywalker can never meet in person in this series, as their encounter aboard the Invisible Hand in Revenge of the Sith is stated to be the first time they ever meet. It'll be interesting to see if that remains to be true as the series goes on. In summary, I feel that Shadow of the Malevolence, while being anything but disappointing as a continuation of the story, was missing something to make it feel like the Empire Strikes Back of the trilogy. Perhaps if Anakin's overconfidence had cost the battle and the medical ship had indeed been destroyed, it would have had more of an impact than it did at the end. However, that's not the sort of ending I expect from this series, so I'll gladly award the episode a decent 7 on the Orsometer. A worthy furtherance of the Malevolence trilogy which will leave the viewer anxious for its conclusion. That's a 7 on the Orsometer for Star Wars The Clone Wars Series 1, Episode 3, Shadow of Malevolence. I've been Wise Man Tanofsky. This has been WMT Reviews. Thank you very much for listening.